just different.
Hello and welcome back to Boxingboutsunleashed. Today I'm going to be making my pound for pound top 15 list now that all the significant fights of 2023 have been completed. This list is based on your accomplishments, resume, skills and performance this year. You can be removed from my top 10 for losing, being inactive the entire year, or your resume lacking compared to everyone else above you. Before we get started, I'm going to list fighters not on the list entirely, those being Errol Spence Jr. due to his loss to Terence Bud Crawford, Vasyl Lomachenko's loss to Devin Haney, and Gervonta Davis's lacking resume compared to everyone else in the top 15. The fighters not mentioned in the top 10 I believe need one more good win or at least something great in their career to move up. But before we start this video, I must put out this disclaimer because this list is based on my personal opinion and is not definitive in any way. You can have your own listing and opinions, but I am here to share mine. So anyways, let's get started with the video. At number 15, I have Shakur Stevenson, who is a 3-division champion with great defensive skills, footwork and range control. He has a good resume, beating opponents like Jamel Herring, Oscar Valdez, Joet Gonzalez, Robinson Canseco, Edwin De Los Santos, and Shuichiro Yoshino. The reason why I don't have him in my top 10 is due to his lacking resume compared to others and lacking big name fighters on his resume, such as Navarrete, Lomachenko, Haney, Davis, and Lopez. And another reason is he didn't defend his featherweight title after winning it, which hampers his credibility at being listed in the top 10. So that's why I placed him in the top 15 due to his skills and having beaten some of the top guys in his division. He can move up in this list if he decides to chase big name fighters in and around his division and potentially become undisputed within the lightweight division. So now we move on to our next fighter, which is... At number 14 on my list, I have Emmanuel Navarrete, who is a 3-division world champion, having good names on his resume like Isaac Dogbe, Ruben Villa, Joet Gonzalez, Oscar Valdez, Liam Wilson, and a competitive fight with Robinson Canseco. He ranks above Shakur due to defending his title more times at different weights, defending his super bantamweight title 5 times, featherweight title 3 times, and super featherweight title once. He has an unorthodox style of fighting, using pressure and his long reach and underrated punch selection to dismantle and break down his opponents. His style offers a lot of problems to fighters who are used to countering or gassing out their opponent, as Navarrete seems to have endless stamina with a great chin alongside it. Navarrete can't be mentioned within the top 10 due to his lacking of bigger name wins like Stevenson, Foster, Cordina, Davis, and Lomachenko. Hopefully, Navarrete has another active year. Now we move on to our next fighter, that being... At number 13, I have Kosei Tanaka, who is the fastest 3-division champion in boxing, tied with Lomachenko and having a great resume, beating guys like Julian Ledras, Vic Salvador, Moises Fuentes, Angel Acosta, Sho Kimura, Yoshi Taguchi, and Jonathan Gonzalez. He is a skilled inside fighter with precise punch selection, great heart, great resilience in the ring, footwork, and defensive skills. The reason why I don't have Tanaka in my top 10 is due to his current competition faced not being elite and his loss to Ioka in 2020 derailing the momentum he carried. But next year he hopes to fulfill his dream becoming a 4-weight world champion when he faces Christian Rangel for the vacated WBO super flyweight title. I hope Tanaka faces the other great fighters in the super flyweight division like Fernando Martinez, Roman Gonzalez, and possibly Jesse Bam Rodriguez when he moves up to the super flyweight division. Moving on to our next fighter, we have... At number 12, I have Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo is a 2-time super welterweight champion and former undisputed super welterweight champion, having beaten good opposition like Erickson Lubin, Austin Trout, Tony Henderson, Jason Rosario, and Brian Castano. Charlo has an aggressive style of fighting, using his powerful jab and athleticism to brutalize his opponents. Charlo uses his left hook to break down his opponent's guard and knock them out. The reason why I can't mention him within the top 10 is due to his unanimous loss to Canelo and the inactivity he has displayed. So I can't place him anymore past this ranking. So now we move on to the next fighter being... And at number 11, I have Dimitri Bivol, who's the current WBA Super and IBO Light Heavyweight Champion, having a good resume beating guys like Canelo Alvarez, Gilberto Ramirez, Joe Smith Jr., Lyndon Arthur, Greg Richards, and Umar Salamov. He has a Soviet style of boxing, using his footwork and lead hand control to establish lengthy combinations, and has a great jab to stop his opponent's rhythm. Bivol is an underrated defensive fighter due to his lack of tricks and more use of footwork and range manipulation to not give his opponents a chance to counter. The reason I have him on the cusp of the top 10 is due to being a pound-for-pound fighter like Canelo, but his lack of activity this year, and although beating Lyndon Arthur in a definitive fashion, it wasn't impressive compared to the others above him. Hopefully he can fight the winner of Better B of Smith, as becoming an undisputed champion will surely secure him a spot on the pound for pound list. Now we have entered the top 10, who I believe are the best of the best, having their resume, skill set and accomplishments and this year's performance back up their ranking. Now let's start with the top 10 being... At number 10, I have Artur Beterbiev, who is the current unified light heavyweight champion with a great resume, beating guys like Alexander Gvozdyk, Joe Smith Jr., Anthony Yarde, Marcus Brown, and Enrico Cooling. Beterbiev's performance over Yarde has proven himself to be a pound-for-pound fighter, and having a 100% knockout rate has made him one of the most destructive fighters in his division. Beterbiev uses a pressure style of fighting where he cuts the ring and punches through his opponent's guard to land destructive, powerful power punches. Hopefully he beats Callum Smith next year and becomes undisputed if he were to beat Dmitry Bivol. Now we move on to our next fighter, being... At number 9, I have Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who is a 2-division champion and a unified flyweight champion, having a great resume, beating guys like Shrisuke Sorangvisai, Carlos Cuadras, Sonny Edwards, and Israel Gonzalez. Jesse Rodriguez has had a rough start in 2023 when he went 12 rounds with Kristen Hernandez, but redeemed himself when he unanimously beat Sonny Edwards, where he showed his boxing skills, pressure skills, and footwork to defeat Edwards. Bam Rodriguez has a pressure style of fighting, using footwork and angles to enter the opponent's pockets and beat them up on the inside. Rodriguez also makes use of a stiff jab to set the pace of the fight and start these lengthy combinations. Once he moves back up to super flyweight, I hope to see him fight guys like Kosei Tanaka or Fernando Martinez to capture a title within the division, and possibly lead to a fight with Juan Francisco Estrada. Now we move on to our next fighter, being... At number 8, I have Kenshiro Teraji. The lower weight classes don't get much attention besides fighters like Naoya Inoue and Bam Rodriguez, so I feel the need to mention the current unified and linear light flyweight champion, Kenshiro Teraji. He has a great resume, beating guys like Heki Butler, Hiroto Kyoguchi, Masamichi Yabuki, Ganigan Lopez, Milan Milindo, and Anthony Olasquega. Teraji makes use of a standard boxing guard, but has elite boxing skills, defensive ability, and punch selection. He had a great 2023 defending his unified and linear status against the talented fighter Anthony Olasquega, and beating former unified champion Heki Butler in dominant fashion. I see Kenshiro Teraji becoming the undisputed light flyweight champion of the world, beating the other 2 champions in the division with ease, Jonathan Gonzalez and the winner of Kuryo Nonshinga. Hopefully after his reign at the light flyweight division, he can move up in weight to beat the other fighters in the flyweight division like Julio Cesar Martinez, Sonny Edwards, and Artem Dalakian. Moving on to our next fighter, we have... At number 7, I have Devin Haney, who is the 2-division champion, current WBC super lightweight champion, and former undisputed lightweight champion, having a good resume, beating fighters like Vasyl Lomachenko, Jorge Linares, Regis Prograis, Jojo Diaz, and George Kambosos Jr. Devin Haney has a defensive style of boxing, using his exceptional counterpunching skills to stun his opponent. Haney uses a great jab and range control to make his opponents work at his own pace. And now moving up a weight division, has displayed some power, able to crack and even stun opponents as shown in the Regis Prograis fight. The reason why I can't put Devin Haney any higher on this list is due to his performance over Lomachenko not being definitive, and Prograis' previous fight made him look weak and susceptible to any of the other fighters in the super lightweight division. But I'll still rank Haney on the list due to his skills and making a tough fight with Lomachenko, who is a pound for pound skilled fighter. Moving on to our next fighter, we have... At number 6, I have Teofimo Lopez, who I ranked above Haney due to being a 2-time linear champion and beating Lomachenko earlier and in a more definitive fashion. Teofimo Lopez is the former unified lightweight champion and current lineal and WBO super lightweight champion. Teofimo Lopez has a great resume, beating guys like Vasyl Lomachenko, Masayoshi Nakatani, Josh Taylor, Richard Comey, and Sandor Martin. Teofimo Lopez is an exceptional counterpuncher, using his opponent's momentum against him, and using his great jab and speed to disrupt his opponent's flow. Teofimo Lopez's performance over Josh Taylor this year has given him more credibility to be placed higher on the list. So hopefully Teo can be more active next year, beating Jermaine Ortiz and fighting the other champions within his weight class like Subriya Matias, Devin Haney, and Rolly Romero. Moving on to our next fighter, we have... At number 5, I have Kazuto Ioka, who is a 4-weight world champion and the former unified minimum weight champion and now current WBA super flyweight champion. He has a great resume, beating guys like Donnie Niaitis, Kosei Tanaka, Francisco Rodriguez Jr., Akira Yaegashi, Ketopong Jayakirachang, Felix Alvarado, Juan Carlos Rebeco, and Joshua Franco. Ioka is one of the best boxer punchers in boxing with exceptional counter punching and great inside fighting. Ioka has great ring IQ, being able to pick up on his opponent's weaknesses and capitalize on it. Hopefully Ioka is able to unify the entire division, beating guys like Estrada, Martinez, and the winner of the new WBO Super Flyweight title. I also see a fight between him and Bam Rodriguez being a brilliant display of skill and strength. Now we move on to our next fighter, that being... At number 4, I have Alexander Usyk, who has had a slow year but is still one of the best fighters in the world. He is the former undisputed cruiserweight champion and current unified heavyweight champion. He has a great resume, beating guys like Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua, Tony Bellew, Murat Gasayev, Marius Breeders, Marco Hack, Krzysztof Glowacki, Tabitha Muchunu, and Michael Hunter. Alexander Usyk is a skilled southpaw with great movement, hand speed, and punch placement. He uses angles and pivots to confuse and disrupt his opponent's rhythm. And he has very great defense and ring IQ, being able to counter and solve his opponent's style. Next year, if Alexander Usyk is able to beat Tyson Fury to become the undisputed heavyweight champion, he joins an elite group of people, those being the 2-weight division undisputed champions, and hopefully that happens soon, as I see him retiring sooner than everyone thinks. Now we move on to our top 3, and we start up with the number 3 best fighter in the world, that being... At number 3, I have Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is one of the most decorated and accomplished fighters today, having a fantastic resume, beating guys like Austin Trout, Jamel Charlo, Gennady Golovkin, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, Callum Smith, Sergey Kovalev, Daniel Jacobs, Miguel Cotto, Island Lara, and John Ryder. His 2023 performance has been less luxurious than others, but his skill and overall resume has solidified his position on the pound-for-pound list. Canelo is a boxer puncher that uses unorthodox counters, has a great jab, body punching, and defensive movement to deal with his opposition. Moving on to our top 2, who can be interchangeable based on your opinion. And the top 2 fighter on my pound-for-pound list is... At number 2, I have Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Crawford, in my opinion, is the pound-for-pound number 2 fighter. You can have him as your number 1, but I have my reasonings for his placement at number 2. Terence Crawford is a 2-division undisputed champion, 3-weight world champion, and 3-time lineal champion. Terence Crawford has a fantastic resume, beating guys like Sean Porter, Errol Spence Jr., Kell Brook, Edgar Kavliauskas, Amir Khan, Victor Postol, Yurkis Gamboa, Ricky Burns, and Julius Ndongo. Terence Crawford is an extremely skilled fighter, using his switch hitting, punch placement, and counters to deal with his opponents. His intellect has not been made apparent by others, as his ability to adapt against a tough opponent is an unparalleled. The only thing stopping him from being my pound-for-pound number 1 fighter is due to the number of world champions he has beaten and the number of divisions he has staked his claim in. And now we move on to the pound-for-pound number 1 fighter, and that is... My pound-for-pound best fighter in the world is Naoya Inoue. He is a perfect all-rounder, being able to box and fight efficiently. Inoue has beaten 2 Hall of Fame fighters, being Nonito Donaire and Omar Narvaez, and having other great names on his resume like Jason Maloney, Stephen Fulton, Marlon Tapales, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Paul Butler, Jamie McDonald, Koei Kono, Ryoichi Taguchi, Juan Carlos Payano, and Adrian Hernandez. He ranks above Crawford due to being a champion in more weight classes, facing slightly better competition, those being Donaire and Narvaez, great skill set, beating more world champions, and overall having a good performance this year in 2023. Inoue's performance over Tapales has showed his great skills at beating champions of various skills and being able to defeat a skilled fighter on the inside who is also a southpaw with power, and showed his incredible punch selection, being able to drop and stop the tough Tapales. But Naoya Inoue and Terence Crawford can swap positions many times next year, as if Terence Crawford beats Tim Tszyu in his next weight class, he can be pound for pound number 1. But if Naoya Inoue defends his title 3 times next year against guys like Luis Neri, Armurujan Akhmadaliev, and John Rio Casimero, it would be hard to not place him in the top 1 pound for pound. But those two are the top fighters in the whole of boxing and can be interchangeable based on your current opinion of them. So that is my pound for pound list. Let me know down below how you feel, and even give me your own pound for pound list and who you rank above each other. Before we go, I'd like to thank you all for watching my videos and getting me to 340 subscribers at the time of this recording. And thanks to those who watched me since July, since that is when I started my channel. And I hope you all had a great 2023, and I hope to be more active and produce more quality content in 2024. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great end of your year, and I'll see you all, fight fans.